Hello and welcome everybody to the Twins Off Daily podcast brought to you by twinsdaily.com. Oh, Twins territory. How the heck are you? I am your host, Sweet Lou Hennessy, and I am gathered here with the OG crew from the Twins Off Daily pod, here to talk about we're getting a little bit of sizzle on the hot stove, boys. Let's start with you, Greg. How's it going, Mr. Gregory T. Masterson?
It's going awesome. I don't know if you guys know this, but about 30 minutes ago, my Los Angeles Rams beat the Cleveland Bears. Cleveland Bears. Wow. Okay, I'm just really excited.
Who?
Beat the Chicago Bears. What a time, man. I thought it was over. I thought that the Rams were getting dominated all game long and they somehow managed to win. That might just be like how my disposition works, is I always think that my favorite team is going to lose. But oh my gosh, man. I'm riding high. You guys wouldn't know what I'm talking about, of course, but imagine like the Minnesota Miracle, only also like in the back of your head, you know that your team can win a Super Bowl because you've seen it a couple times within your lifetime. And so it feels even better because you know it might be going somewhere fun.
Sounds fun, dude. Save it for Rams Off Daily. All right. That's the next podcast. We are here for the return of Mr. Cody Schoenman. What's going on, comrade?
I have COVID, which is not fun. I haven't had that all off season. This is a new thing. I'm still testing positive for it, but I feel, better, which is good. Were you about to say Cleveland Guardians, Greg? Like just completely not even like on like close to Chicago Bears?
I had Bears in my head, but for some reason my brain started like cycling. Wait, where do the Bears play again? I know it begins with a C. Sorry, I'm also a little bit high off my Spurs beating the Wolves last night. What a game that was. All-time performance from Ant, and they still didn't win. Tough. That's tough. But, man, I am riding a high.
Ant versus Bald Wemby. That was a good game.
Unbelievable.
Brother Cody, Wemby.
Cody, we are happy to have you with us. Very sorry about the positive test, but at least you're positive at some point in your life here. So that's good. The Twins, until recently, have not given you much to be very positive about this offseason. But like we said, they are starting to sizzle on the hot stove, and we are going to dive into it in our big inning topic when we get there, which is going to be our kind of midterm report card for the Minnesota Twins as the offseason hits we're maybe a little past the midway point at this point. But first, how about this, guys? Let's talk about our walk-off question that we will try to answer at the end of today's episode. Today's walk-off question: who is least likely to attend Twins Fest this year? Twins Fest is coming up at the end of the week. I believe it's Friday and Saturday this year. We know a lot of Twins players and personnel and alumni are going to be in town and are going to attend that event. Who do we think is least likely to make it this year to Twins Fest? So we will try to answer that at the end of today's episode. But I think we should just dive right on into the report card, guys, because the Minnesota Twins have been moving and grooving. On Friday, I believe it was announced that catcher Victor Caratini was going to be coming on to the Minnesota Twins on a 2-year pact around $14 million. I don't know about you guys. It kind of took me by surprise. He seemed like a very natural fit coming into the offseason, but I feel like we had just heard nothing when it came to Victor Caratini over the last couple of months. But let's talk about what you guys thought when you heard of this signing, which is, one of the biggest free agent signings in recent history for the Minnesota Twins. It's not fun to talk about in that regard, but Cody, what did you think when you heard that Victor Caratini is going to be joining the Minnesota Twins?
Yeah, that was completely random, out of the blue. I did not have Caratini on my radar whatsoever. I mean, maybe when the offseason started, you could see Caratini maybe being somebody they would target. But then they got Alex Jackson from Baltimore, and it was like, okay, they have their backup catcher. They have other holes to fill, very limited, money to spend. So you didn't even really think about catcher again. And then Bell was signed, and it was kind of like, yeah, I mean, Caratini's not going to sign here. But then, what happens? I think it makes sense still from a roster building perspective. I mean, people for some reason, or some, people, some pundits, I guess, like you kind of since the Twins are so monetarily like restricted, you're like, okay, they're giving 1.8 million to Alex Jackson. Like he has to be on the 26-man roster now. Like there's no other path for him. Like he has to be on the roster because 1.8 million is like substantial for the Twins at least. And I think like kind of get caught up in how cheap the ownership is. Because I remember early in the offseason, I was like, the Twins aren't going to fire Rocco. They still owe him $1 million. And then Greg was like, that's probably still like even cheap for the Twins. Like, so I mean, I don't think $1.8 million is really going to, hold that much weight as to them feeling like they need to keep Alex Jackson on the roster. I mean, he has no minor league options left, so they will probably, have to DFA him, try to get him on the AAA roster, or they could roll with 3 catchers. Which I mean, I don't know. I don't really think that's going to happen. But yeah, it's just it's kind of a clunky fit right now with Jeffers and Jackson also on the 26-man. But I mean, he can fit in at DH. He's a switch hitter, so he's pretty platoon proof. He can also play some first. But then you also have Josh Bell and Cody Clemens at first base too. So it's a little bit redundant, but I mean overall he's a good veteran player and he definitely raises the floor of the Twins. So I mean I'm for it. And also with Jeffers leaving the org after the season, probably no matter what. I mean he is a Boras client, so he's probably going to go to free agency, probably going to sign elsewhere. So I mean it gives the Twins a kind of a plan of Caratini and Alex Jackson if he stays in the org as the catching tandem in 27, which is nice to have compared to before Caratini. It was just Jackson and nobody else.
Yeah. You gave us some really good things to keep in mind. I want to start with your Alex Jackson point because I feel like that was getting a lot of play in some of the different
people have lost their minds. I'm sorry.
People are going crazy over Alex Jackson. And
yeah.
I think I want to say that he settled for like $1.4 million, something like that. 135. The MLB minimum is 780,000 this year. So like people are going crazy thinking that he's locked in. And I'm like, guys, they could DFA him. Another team could claim him and take more than half that salary. Like, I don't think that they're locking Alex Jackson into any plans here just because they signed him first, or because they acquired him first. He's expendable. He's expendable at this point. You want to know how I know that? Is because he's been on 5 different teams in the last 2 years. I don't think they're worried too much. I don't think they're sweating losing Alex Jackson.
Peyton Neals. What about Peyton Neals?
Oh, Peyton Neals. Oh, they gave up so much to get this catcher who's been on 5 teams. Anyway. They're not going to roll with 3 catchers on this roster. No. I think they were doing what they do most off seasons here, and that's setting a floor early, getting a backup plan in place. They got Jackson in case they couldn't get a Caratini or somebody of that ilk to come in and replace Christian Vasquez. I think it's going to be Jeffers and Caratini. We could talk about Jeffers as a trade candidate. I think that's fine, but I feel like I'm hearing a lot of people thinking, well, this means that clearly they're trading Jeffers because they already have Alex Jackson. So I don't know. Greg, what did you think when you heard about
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is I had actually started like considering that as an option because going into Friday, I was warming more and more up to the idea that the Twins might be interested in bringing in 1 or even maybe 2 more bats, and kind of taking maybe money that they had earmarked for relievers that there are no relievers to pay like a lot of money to. I didn't really have like Caratini on my like wish list, but I was looking at it saying like, listen, if they're wanting to actually just add value, I think that Caratini is one of the best uses of some like mid to low level money in free agency right now. I think that he's a really good fit on this team, assuming that they're trying to win. Right. I think that he matches with Ryan Jeffers fairly well. Like I know a lot of people might not want to hear this. Caratini might be a better player than Ryan Jeffers. If you compare them, like they're fairly similar hitters. and Caratini might have the edge as a defender. It's kind of up in the air. Neither of them are terribly good defenders. Caratini had several years where he was a pretty solid framer. Right now, he has no arm. He's a pretty good blocker, and pitchers like him. I don't think that I would personally make the argument that he is a better catcher than Ryan Jeffers, in part because he just does not catch all that much, and part of that is the teams that he's been on. But he's only caught about 50 games a year for the last 3 years. But he has a little bit of versatility. He can play a little first base. He can DH a little. He hits enough that it's not a joke if he DHs. Whereas if you had Christian Vasquez DHing, everybody'd be like, what are we doing here, right?
Exactly.
But I think that he fits with Jeffers because Caratini historically has hit righties a little bit better, so he can basically get all of Jeffers' days off can be against righties, where he has not been a very good hitter. He has killed lefties in his career, though. And so if you want to spot Caratini basically anytime that Ryan Jeffers has a day off, whether that's every other day, every 2 days, somewhere in between there, I think that that's great. He can also hit lefties. And so maybe because we've been talking a little bit about do they have somebody to platoon with Cody Clemens at first base? And you can say, okay, well, you move Josh Bell to first base, you DH Ryan Jeffers, that's a solid DH against lefties, and you've got Caratini. I think that he fits this team really well.
Right. Yeah, it's I was surprised. I was looking at kind of comparing Jeffers and Caratini. Their strengths, at least offensively, are almost identical. You know what I mean? Just in terms of their walk rate, their strikeout rate, they, at least Jeffers last year, I know he kind of went through a little bit of a transformation. He dropped some of his power and added some value with some on base stuff. Anyway, I think I want to think about this, Jeffers' trade value. I'm not sure it's sky high right now. So if they are looking at him as a trade candidate, imagine Victor Caratini was not a free agent, but he was a trade candidate. What would the Twins have given up for him? And I don't think it's a massive package. You know what I mean? I'm curious how, if they are going to look at, trading Jeffers, where I think the better play would probably be to just have those two as a tandem because they complement each other really well and they do things, they're similar type players. I don't know. Cody, any follow up there?
Yeah, I don't think Jeffers is being traded. I mean, if you look at the market right now, the teams who really need catching or are publicly interested in catching are, I think, Boston and Tampa. In Boston already has Carlos Narvaez, who was one of the best catchers, in baseball, or at least was one of the best catchers last year. And then Tampa has a combo of, I think Nick Fortes and Hunter Fiducia, which, I mean, Jeffers is better than both of those players, but still, I mean, that's serviceable. You could go into a season with that, especially if you're Tampa. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think Minnesota's intention is to trade, Jeffers right now. Greg did the classic stat head. For those watching, we have the stat head combo.
The last 2 years, Caratini versus Jeffers, their rates are fairly similar. They're running the same OPS plus. Jeffers has just caught a lot more, frankly, because like I said, Caratini has caught 50 games a year for the last 3 years. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Interesting. Yeah. Greg, like you said, this feels like more of a move that they would make trying to be competitive. And then if things go south at the trade deadline, guess what? You have another asset that you could trade away if need be. Victor Caratini and Jeffers are both going to be sought after at the deadline if things go south. But if things go right and you have two good catchers, we saw how successful that was as recently as 2023. So
I would say that spending $7 million on Victor Caratini, I hate to, just speak out my butt and assume things that I don't know. But I feel like if they're spending $7 million on Victor Caratini, which is not a need that they absolutely have, I feel like they probably aren't done this offseason. I think that there's other stuff to come. I don't think that your only moves are going to be Josh Bell and Victor Caratini unless things are just completely going haywire at Target Field and all of their first 400 different paths that they could have taken this offseason have kind of gone out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely intentional. I don't think they just signed Caratini on a whim because they just wanted to sign him for value. I also, it's really quick too. I think it's interesting how like consensus or like agreed reality, if you will, like changes throughout the offseason. Because when Jackson was signed, I think the consensus was kind of like, oh, he's a nice third catcher, but I don't really care. Like the Twins could DFA him. I really don't want him on the roster. And then like 3 months later, as we mentioned when we were talking about this, it's like, how are they gonna, get Jackson on the 26th man? How are they gonna do it? It's very interesting. Like, pick a struggle. Like, are you pro Alex Jackson or are you not? And also, Greg, on this stat head front with the comparing them, can you tell the people about a very interesting stat head that that you put together? If you want to, you don't have to.
I genuinely don't know what you're referring to.
Luis Arraez and Jason Marquis.
Yeah, at one point I did dig up as we were that Jason Marquis actually had a better season hitting than Luis Arraez. Like Jason Marquis is like 2007 or something like that. He was a vastly superior hitter to 2025 Luis Arraez. Cody, those things are supposed to stay in the group chat, man. You can't be airing that dirty laundry out here. For the people at home, I swear it was funny at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's
sure
it was.
Sure it was. All right. Well, I think we've probably talked enough about Caratini. I guess one thing I want to say though is that like it was refreshing to get like I consider Caratini to be a pretty impactful player. You know what I mean? Like not like a premier free agent or anything like that, but compared to some of the other transactions we were getting, like Eric Wagaman, Orlando Arcia, Vidal Brujan, Vida Brew. It was refreshing to get somebody that's like, oh no, this is a move that like a competitive, likely competitive team would make. And it was nice to see that. We were getting to this point of the offseason, though. This happens every single year. We get to January and people get real stir crazy and they're like, what are the Twins doing? What's the plan? What's going on here? And
it's have a plan. They've been asleep at the wheel.
They've been asleep at the wheel. This happens every single year. And then somebody slips to them or, they're waiting something out. And clearly this team is going to look differently by the time spring training rolls around, especially the end of spring training. So this happens every year. You know what I mean? I think probably like 7 of the last 8 years. Maybe there's 1 year in there where they didn't make any, significant moves until way deep into spring training, but it happens every year. All right, guys. So this was the last big move that they made, and this will play into our midterm report card. But how about this? Why don't we take a look at their offense? Let's look at their contingent of players that are here. So like we said, they've added Caratini. They added Ryan Kreidler. At least they claimed him. Who knows how long he'll stick around. They added Josh Bell, obviously. Those were the big additions, if I'm not mistaken. We threw out. Don't
forget Orlando Arcia,
Vida Brew, and Eric Wagaman. Those guys are all going to be competing for jobs. Probably just one job between the three of them. Let's be honest. What do we think of what grade would you give the Minnesota Twins for their offseason so far when it comes to their offense contingent? Let's start with you, Greg. What do you think?
I mean, if you think about, I guess, like the doomsday scenarios that we have been drawing up all offseason, whether that is just inside of our heads or out into the ether, we're casting that. I mean, there were people who believed that the Twins weren't going to do anything on offense, and you were going to have like Edouard Julien as your opening day DH. You were going to have, I don't know, Mickey Gasper as your backup catcher. I like the moves that they've made so far. I think that they have been quality moves within a budget. I think that among like the players who were kind of in this at like stratosphere, I guess, Josh Bell and Victor Caratini are pretty high up on the list of guys that I think they could have gone out and gotten. So I don't know. I think that as hard as it is to say like This is the offseason grade in the midterm when you're talking about a team that doesn't finish for another like month or two.
Yeah.
Like it feels kind of silly, but like I like the way that they've been trending. I think that those are two good options. The kind of the bit players that they've brought in, you can take or leave. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Let's talk about like their utility infield right now. Like it's like right now, if the season ended, or open today, I think that they do need to roster one of Kreidler, Arcia, and Bruhan. And like I feel like they might need to add one more just because like if you have four of them or maybe even five of these guys who it's like these guys are not very good, but hey, maybe if you get all five of them into camp, one of them is going to be like just merely mediocre, and that would be amazing, right?
Yeah. Greg, how about this? What
the leader in the clubhouse right now, but I don't know.
Yeah, you're probably right, just with his defensive capabilities there. But how about this? What's your letter grade that you'll give the Twins when it comes to their offense and the offseason they've had? What was it?
B.
B as in boy. Okay.
Yes.
I think I'm probably right around there too. I'm right on the like B minus C plus territory where like it's the midterm, you're passing, you're doing a pretty good job. My basis for that was that they made the additions to push Cody Clemens to a bench role, which like I think he's much better suited for than a starting first baseman or starting DH. You know what I mean? So they made two additions that clearly push him to the bench. And I think that gives them a B minus in my book, but you know, there's still a lot of semester left. They can forget to do their homework. They can maybe slip up in some of their test scores here, and that grade could certainly fall, but there's also the opportunity that it could get a little better too. Cody, what do you think?
If it would still be a B minus if this was like the opening day of spring training?
If this was opening day spring training, that's a tough one. I'd probably go C plus at that point. C plus.
Okay.
Cody, what do you think?
I was thinking B minus too, actually. And you know, just if you look at it from like a whole, everything, you know, all context, they didn't trade Buxton, they didn't trade Ryan, they didn't trade Buffalo. Not yet. They probably won't. They might trade Ryan. We don't think so, though. I mean, he's not going to Twins Fest, so who knows? But
save it for the walk-off.
Yeah, no, but like I think just to kind of, you know, mirror, you know, Greg's earlier point, Caratini and Bell, players of that ilk, these are kind of like the top two guys, or you know, one of the two of the best guys. You know, when you're thinking of those two, Andujar, Rhys Hoskins, players like that, like these are, you know, two guys you would like. So a lot of it I think will, you know, also hinge on the bullpen. I know that they've been incredibly linked to Seranthony Dominguez. I think he'd be a great addition.
Well, let's save it. Let's save that for the bullpen conversation.
Yeah, but if they address the bullpen, I'm willing to go up to like a B plus, maybe even like higher. But yeah.
Okay. Cool. Are there any, you know, whether that's free agents or you know, trade possibilities, I guess, that could really sway your opinion for the rest of the offseason, guys? Like here's my next basis for raising their grade. They need a better option than James Outman. You know, we don't have him listed here, but Austin Martin is probably at that point right now. I would take Austin Martin over James Outman 10 times out of 10.
I forgot.
But you know, but that's the thing. James Outman's out of options, so like I'm okay if they expose him to waivers or whatever and he gets claimed. I don't think that's a huge loss. I think they made that trade kind of like as let's see what this guy's got. Maybe he can win us over and we can go from there. Maybe he just needs a change of scenery, but he was pretty brutal. He was pretty brutal for the Twins the last couple of months. They didn't end up giving up that much because Brock Stewart pitched like 3 times before blowing out his arm. So, you know, no harm, no foul. We get it, but you don't need to hold on to, you know, James Outman doesn't need to necessarily be saving, you know, reserving a spot on this bench.
Outman's kind of in the same vein as Alex Jackson, where it's like you're fine with DFA and him trying to maybe storm at AAA. I think Roden is the better version of Outman, and I think, you know, you could have Martin and Roden in left. You know, with Bell and Caratini being here too, and Jefferson maybe playing more DH, you could also. I expect Larnach to play left field and right field more. than he had previously have been, planned to earlier this offseason. So I mean, you
are the only person in the Twin Cities who believes that Trevor Larnach is not going to be traded.
Yeah, I'm convinced he's going to be on the team to begin next season. I think left field will be a trio. Honestly,
you missed the music.
I can't hear the music.
Very quick game of is Trevor Larnach still a Twin? We just kicked Cody off the screen because he didn't understand the bit. I forgot he can't hear the music.
I can't hear the music. Yeah.
But is Trevor Larnach still a Twin? And as of January 18th, 2026, yes, Trevor Larnach is still a Twin. All right. Back to
it. Cody said we forgot. Cody's joining this podcast from a calculator. He is he is completely off the grid here. Yeah.
I could not hear the music, so I thought I was still talking.
You're good.
Okay, my bad. No, I do. I mean, I
just motoring through the bit.
That's embarrassing. I actually like the trio, or the if you want to call it a tandem of maybe Larnach and Martin and left. I think that could play pretty well. I'm actually expecting a pretty nice improvement from Larnach. There is a sense of lineup protection, if you will, or just depth where they can kind of shield Larnach against lefties and only play him against righties. And if he's facing mostly right-handed pitching, he could have a solid 120 to 125 WRC plus season. So I'm pretty optimistic about Larnach this year.
Which he's never done, by the way. He's never hit 125. So just wanted to make sure the listeners know that.
Here's the thing, too.
Friday split?
Here's the only thing, though. Like, this is only a talking point until the, uber prospects of Walker Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez and Gabriel Gonzalez emerge. Like, best case scenario, those guys are up and contributing and are everyday players, and we don't have to worry so much about, platooning spots with Larnach and, these guys. Best case scenario is one of the prospects comes up and just like claims a job and runs away with it. And so hopefully that's the case.
And I mean, one of the reasons that we are assuming that James Outman is going to be on the roster, I don't think he should, is that he is like the guy who they seem to trust in left field, backing up Byron Buxton. Though, I don't know, like if Rodriguez and Jenkins are both looking nice in spring training, I don't think that they break camp with the team, and I probably wouldn't advocate for it. Manipulate their service time, make sure that they settle in, yada yada. But I feel like if your fear is, if you drop James Outman, who's going to back up Byron Buxton? I think that between Roden and Kreidler and Martin and even like Luke Keeschel, I think that they can do spot coverage for Byron Buxton, like give him off days.
Sure.
But if he does get injured, if he runs into a wall, classic bit, right? At that point, you can just call up Emmanuel Rodriguez or Walker Jenkins and just turn over center field to them for 2 weeks or whatever. I think this the only way that they can find a reasonable lineup and a reasonable roster on opening day is without James Outman. I'm sorry.
Well, we also just don't know too. I mean, like with Rodriguez and Jenkins, I mean, at this point, Rodriguez is more injury prone than Buxton, and Jenkins just got to AAA to end last season. So, I mean, he's going to probably need to marinate down there a little bit more. I mean, people get so obsessed with, Larnach is just another slightly above average left-handed hitting corner outfielder. It's like when you look at this roster construction right now, first off, you need to set a floor. If you're going to compete, you need to set a floor. Also, Larnach and Wallner are the above average left-handed hitting corner outfielders. There is no other ones on this list. Like Jenkins and Rodriguez project to be. Right now, Roden and Outman aren't. There's only 2 on this list that are above average left-handed hitting corner outfielders, and you'd probably like to enter a season with them. And, as injuries play out, even if you have Rodriguez or Jenkins come up, or even, Gabriel Gonzalez from the right-handed hitting side, I mean, you're still going to probably want Larnach, a player of his caliber, on the team. So it just kind of irks me a little bit how expendable people think Larnach is, because I think there is a genuinely, above average platoon bat there. And like him and Wallner are the above average hitting, left-handed hitting corner outfielders. I keep saying that, but it's like people just discredit that when I don't think it's really valid.
They are the ones who knock. All right, here's the last thing I want to say about the offense before we move on to the pitcher side of things. I think James Outman, I think he will be here until Team USA is eliminated from the World Baseball Classic and Aaron Buxton returns to camp and can play center field again. Until then, James Outman is going to be finishing a lot of games in center field, I predict, and more to him. I hope he can showcase his talents. I hope he can find a job, whether that's with the Twins or his next team. I don't expect him to be here once Team USA is eliminated and Byron Buxton comes back to their camp.
Can I ask? I think you asked this, Lou, and I don't know that we actually got into it. Is there a move that you want to see to make this lineup better? Because you said, if this is still the lineup on opening day of spring training, like what is the spot that you think that the Twins could improve from where they are right now? And let's assume that they have more than like $3 million to spend, like just for even if they don't, for the sake of the exercise, like what do you want to see to improve?
It's tricky because, before the Caratini signing, I was kind of thinking, are they waiting out maybe the slugger market? Are they going to wait to see if Rhys Hoskins or Paul Goldschmidt or one of these right-handed bats just continues to slip and maybe they'll accept a nice little $6-7 million deal? Part of me is still intrigued by that idea of bringing in yet another bat, but I don't know if it's necessarily in the cards, and maybe Caratini is just going to be that guy. He's going to be the part-time first baseman, right-handed slugger, that platoons with Josh Bell and Cody Clemens there. I'd still be intrigued. I'd still be fine to see what a good old Paul Goldschmidt could do, or Rhys Hoskins if his market does not materialize. I don't know. How about you guys? Anybody come to mind real quick?
I'd still be intrigued into Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I think there still is a market for like a good backup shortstop / third baseman / second baseman. So maybe if IKF actually wants to be a Twin, that'd be nice. Also, biological age Ryan Fitzgerald. I like to bring him in versus his actual age. What's his bio age, Greg?
I don't know. Maybe like 13. Sorry. Maybe no. I'm not. No. Nope. Not gonna make that joke.
Anyway,
we love you, Ryan.
The pitchers. Let's move over to the pitcher side, because I gave the offseason a B- for the offensive contingent. I think that was the high point of the Twins report card. I think we're getting into some of their subjects that maybe they need a little extra tutelage in. So here's where they sit right now. They have not made a ton of additions. Let's see. They brought in Eric Orsi in a trade. He will probably be in that bullpen picture, you got to think. I think right now he's probably, third, right? Third, fourth on the pecking order, you got to think. Besides that, they have not made any additions whatsoever. Dan Altavia, right? I think they also brought him in on a minor league deal with spring training invite. But
yeah, and there's so many, like I feel like they've signed like 5 minor league invites, sure. And I was just like, I'm just gonna leave that off this list. This is all guys who are on the 40-man roster. If you are watching along at home.
They are 2026 Tyler Beatties. Remember, he was on the Twins for camp last year. I forgot about that. So, guys, my grade for them right now in the offseason for their pitching staff, guys, I don't know. I think I got to give maybe D-, because maybe adding Eric Orsi is something. They wrote their name on the top of the page. They turned something in. They haven't taken away from their rotation depth, which I guess you could say is a good thing, but how good is it? What do you guys think? Greg, what are your initial thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I think D- is if we're just looking at what they've added, a D-. I would probably, because I'm a lenient grader, I would probably give them a little bit of extra credit for just not blowing up the starting rotation. Maybe, I don't know. However, on the other hand, I could be talked into blowing up the starting rotation a little bit if that's what they wanted to do. Like, I don't know what the market for Bailey Ober or Simeon Woods Richardson are, but I would definitely, like, I wouldn't turn off my television if that came across the bottom of the screen. It is nice that they didn't trade Lopez and Ryan. Who knows? Maybe that's in retrospect a foolhardy decision. Maybe like the smart thing to do was to trade one of those guys, but they've been pretty adamant that they don't want to do that. So I don't know. Maybe a D plus. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I can't. There are so many names on this list that they're trying to sort through. I feel a little bit bad for them. At the same time, it's like, gosh dang it, just add somebody. Like
Yeah.
add an adult. Like I keep saying all off season long, like where's David Robertson? Or like where's Ryan Presley? Who I guess is a Twin now anyway.
Yeah.
But like is there an adult or two that you can just bring in who's maybe like not really all that different from Cole Sands performance wise, but it's just like you've pitched an 8th inning before, you've pitched a 9th inning before, you've been good before. You can help these guys who are just, I don't know, not lost, but just like they're going to be struggling their way through their big league debuts or settling into big league roles. Like I want to see just somebody here, man.
Yeah. Cody, before we get to your thoughts here, which I really do want to get to, Greg, you brought up the rotation depth and how, maybe it would be intriguing if they did trade some of that away, if it brought in something worthwhile. I would maybe be intrigued to explore some trades for their starting pitchers if it brought back a really good right-handed hitter outfield, if it brought in somebody like Joe Adell or something like that from the Angels. That could be intriguing. I'm not sure what a return package would look like, but like Joe Adell would complement this team. He could be, an everyday left or right fielder, at least from the right side of the plate. He hit 35 home runs last year, I think. Who knows what the Angels are doing and how much it would cost to get him, but I might be intrigued by something like that. All right, Cody, over to you. What are your thoughts on their offseason so far when it comes to their pitching staff?
I mean, I'm I'm happy that they kept Pete Mackey. I really love the hire of LaTroy Hawkins as a bullpen coach. I think that will help the team more than it will, not. It's hard to quantify how good a bullpen coach is, but I think LaTroy will be a good addition. I am really happy also that they did not trade away Pablo or Ryan yet. Kind of depends on also like how much faith you have in Bailey Ober bouncing back next year.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a incomplete almost at this point. I mean, yeah. I guess I could settle around like a D or a D plus too at this point too. I mean, the bullpen has just not been addressed.
Don't tell Tarek Falvey that he can take it incomplete on a course. This man is going to come back in the fall and say, I had a great summer break. Can I please add some relievers now?
He's going to be going to the registrar. He's going to be going to the registrar in the second week of September.
It's better than Terry Ryan being like, I got it incomplete. My professor said I could get an A, but I actually got an incomplete. It's better than Terry Ryan. I mean, I kind of teased it earlier accidentally, but they have been linked to Stranthony Dominguez. So, if you bring him in, he could be like I don't know if it's bona fide closer, but he could be a closer. And then you kind of see the vision a little bit more with him, but he's not here yet. So, I mean, so for right now, I'd probably do a D, maybe a D plus, just because I really do like bringing in LaTroy and keeping Pete Mackey. I think that will help the squad.
So we gave them D minus, D, and D plus, and honestly, I think that might be generous for if this is the group that comes into spring training. I think it's an F. You know what I mean? Like, but there is still plenty of potential. Not that they can bring it up
to believe this is it.
Yeah, and you know what? We're not saying that any remaining moves would instantly shoot them up to an A or even a B, but like I think that there's still plenty of moves that they could get a very passable bullpen in here. They for $7-8 million total, they could bring in Taylor Rogers, Scott Barlow, and Michael Kopech. You know what I mean? Like there's these veteran guys that are out there that they could bring in to $1 or $2, $3 million deals. They've tried that before and they've failed. Josh Staumont, Jay Jackson, we've seen plenty of those that it does not pan out.
Matt Whistler was incredible in 2020. Joe Smith had a pretty solid. Okay, actually, no. Listen here. Okay, even if it's all smoke and mirrors, like I would take Joe Smith with this bullpen, right? Because he gave them like 2 good months, right? Yes, and that's like really what I want is I want a couple of good months, like March, April, May, and then hopefully by June, July, a bunch of these names who really haven't pitched in the majors before are now like kind of settled in. Like if you can just give me that.
I haven't thought about that. Like
I'm trying to think of another guy.
Give
like
me
that.
Ryan Harper,
Stephen Okert.
Yeah. So I have two thoughts. Would you guys change your grade if they just came out and said David Festa is a reliever now? Would you change your grade, or would that just be like, is that also enough of a question mark that it does not matter to you?
That fact got me to the D-. Like I already assume that to be the case, and if it's not the case, it brings them down to an F. So
for the record, that there is no evidence that it is the case. It is just kind of fan canon, just like how Trevor Larnach doesn't play for the Twins anymore.
Fan canon, yeah. No, but like it's such a natural fit, and like you said, there's no evidence. They haven't announced that they're going to try that. He has no history in the bullpen or anything like that, but. He is such an obvious case above guys like Zebby Matthews, Mick Abel, Taj Bradley. But then again, if any one of those guys, if they're like, yeah, we're counting on them to be in the bullpen, they're starting the year off as a reliever, it would be the same in my book. I would still have a D- for them.
And kind of on that front too, I'm actually really, really high on Connor Prelip as a reliever, and I think he will be in the bullpen to begin.
But there's no evidence.
No, I know that Greg does not believe that. I know that Greg still thinks Prelip's going to be in the AAA rotation. Yeah. Do you still think that?
Yeah, there's no evidence of the contrary. Well, I was digging
Salvy's comment.
I would simply not put myself in the bullpen when given the chance.
I'm very intelligent.
Like, okay, then again, like I would be open to Connor Prelip starting the year in the bullpen, as long as they even just paid lip service and said, well, this doesn't rule out him, because we saw I'm blanking on the Kopech, right? Not Kopech, Crochet. Garrett Crochet, that's how they brought him back. They just stuck him in the bullpen. They gave him a year of relief, and then he started opening day. So yeah. The other thing, this is maybe like kind of a crackpot theory. So I apologize for being your drunk uncle right now. But as you look at the rotation options, I think that there are six, or I would say there are six names on that list where you look at it and you're like, I don't like that guy not being in the rotation. I think obviously Lopez, Ryan Ober, if they're healthy and they're on the team, they're in the rotation. Woods Richardson is out of options, and he's had 2 solid years.
Yeah.
Bradley and Matthews do have options, but they also have, Bradley especially has a lot of starting history. And Zebby Matthews, like by the underlying metrics, he's been really good. By the performance, he has not.
Sure.
But those 6 guys, I think that you can really, like, it is a very difficult decision to figure out which of those guys you want to bump from the rotation. And I know that they, a few years ago, they sent Bailey Ober down. What if this is a crackpot idea?
I know.
But you know how they rolled out that pitch every 4 days thing in the minor leagues? What if they put Simeon Woods Richardson on that plan and he pitches every 4th day out of the bullpen 60 pitches? What if that's how they solve this?
I hear where you're coming from. With Woods Richardson specifically, though, he's probably been the best pitcher out of that group, that back end of the rotation. I'm not sure if he'd be the guy I'd want to try that with. I'd want to try to keep Ober consistent as possible, and then try it with one of the. Did you say Bailey Ober? Like I might even try Bailey Ober over Simeon Woods Richardson.
Yeah. No, I was saying that like there's reason to think Simeon's better than Ober at this point too.
Yeah. But Greg, I am intrigued. Maybe if they wanted to do that with someone like Zebby or Mick Abel or something like that.
One of the things that it almost is like a fear for me. Like that's what they've been building towards almost. Like I'm trying to figure out why it got in their head that they wanted to do this with their pitchers, other than if they just have a bunch of starting pitchers and they want to make sure that they're all stretched out. But like, it's been like a little voice in the back of my head for almost a year now. Like, what if this is what they're going to do to solve a rotation crunch?
That's interesting. We saw them kind of trying that in the last 2 months of the season last year, but that was also a team that wasn't invested in winning at that point. You know what I mean? That was a team that was invested in experimenting. So like, if they're doing that to start off the year this year, I think that spells bad things for the Twins, but it's not to say that they couldn't later on down the road, I guess.
I thought Gregg was going for a 6-man rotation.
That's what I kind of thought too.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind that with Taj and
it's never going to happen
as the 5-6. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But and then also, Mick Abel, he kind of just still is like a pitching prospect. I think it's fine to treat him as such, like have him start the year out in AAA, refine things. I think Abel's more of a long-term play than anything.
Sure.
But yeah. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
He also could just come out shoving in spring training and like win the 5th job. Like that would be great. I would love that if it was like, well, we know he has options, but like he looked so good in spring. We need him to, you know what I mean? Like that's a great problem to have. That's something that would be a great issue.
Yeah, I guess the other thing, like if there is a like, I don't know what the way is to rely on, because the starting rotation is so much better than the bullpen. Like I don't know what you can do to turn starting rotation innings into bullpen innings other than that. But like that, like I don't know. In past years, I've thought like a 6-man rotation would be interesting and potentially useful. But when you have a terrible bullpen, like you don't want just 7 guys out there. Like you need all 8 of those dudes out in the bullpen.
Yeah. And you know what? Their best relievers that they've had in the last however many years have all been starting pitching prospects or like young starting pitchers that could not figure it out in a big league rotation and went to the bullpen and figured some stuff out and figured out where their strengths lie. So hopefully that can be the case, at least for 1 or 2 of these guys. Maybe they bring in a few lottery tickets left on the free agent market. Maybe they trade Trevor Larnach for a reliever, trade him to the Astros for Steven Okert. What do you think, Greg? Yeah, we'll see. Any final thoughts before we keep moving, guys? I think we're running late here.
Jojo Romero.
Jojo Romero. I like Jojo Romero.
That would be fun.
We didn't talk about John Klein or Marco Raya, but I think they will play pretty important roles in the bullpen next year too. I think those are guys who will get their first shot, at least to begin.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah, why not? Let's give them a shot. Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, with that, this is an incomplete grade. The offensive contingent certainly is miles ahead of the pitching staff. But for right now, everybody, we're going to move on to everybody's favorite segment. It is Gregory's Gripes. All right. I had to do some like hand motions here to let Cody know that there's music playing. But it is time for Greg's Gripes. Greg always has something grinding in his gears. This is his chance to get it off of his chest. Greg, what are you griping about this time?
So I've been kind of getting into folk music. Actually, Cody, shut your ears. I'm a big fan of Americana. I'm a fan of like the 50s through 70s vibes, not necessarily like the ambiance of those times, like where you had sort of an idyllic American vibe, right? So I've been listening to a lot of Creedence Clearwater Revival lately. Now, Cody, you can open your ears because they are the ones who did Fortunate Son, which is satire, and that I'm sure that you love to correct people who like to use Fortunate Son as maybe their walk-up music. I don't know what Cody's signaling right now.
Actually,
but I think that we've lost folk music as a people. Not necessarily like the genre, but the type of song, right? Where there used to just be songs that everybody knew and they didn't belong to anybody. So like House of the Rising Sun, right? Long Time. I'm blanking on other examples, but like, I mean, the only folk songs that we have right now are like Happy Birthday, except also Happy Birthday is copyrighted. I don't know who owns it, but Happy Birthday itself is copyrighted. We don't just have songs that everybody knows, everybody sings, whatever, that are just like they belong to everybody. And it frustrates me that we lost that. I think that what we have now is like Mr. Brightside or like Country Roads, and it's like it's songs that everybody knows, like the old joke, like, so does it, like every white person just get born knowing the lyrics to Mr. Brightside, or how do you figure those out? And it just bums me out that we don't have, like, I think that I've griped before about how we don't sing as groups, like we don't sing like in pubs as Americans, and I wish we did. Like, I wish we had songs that we could sing. I think that it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that we've lost. I Bring back folk music, man. Bring back songs that don't belong to anybody. Cody probably does like that. Nobody owns the songs. They belong to everybody. You can pass them around, and nobody gets to make any money off of them. I miss that. I miss that a lot.
There's no chance Cody is old enough to know who CCR is. I'm sorry.
I know what
Greg.
CCR is.
I'm joking. I'm joking, comrade. Greg, good gripe. But you know what? Our podcast has a full catalog of copyright-free music. They belong to everybody. So maybe all the folk music is just in the podcast now.
Yeah. Our generation's folk is Hot to Go by Chappell Roan. Wow. By Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B.
Let's say now we're talking music. Music off Daily Pod. All right. Good gripe, Greg. Thank you for that. But now Greg actually has something else prepared for us. It is an edition of everybody else's second favorite segment. It is Royce Says the Darnedest Things.
Royce says the darndest things. That the button doesn't work anymore. Broke our button. Brock Beauchamp broke our button. He deleted all of our music, and so now we've lost the edited version of Kids Say.
Brock hosts one edition of Twins Off-Season Live and breaks the whole studio for us. Thanks a lot, Brock.
I can't believe this, but it is very funny to play copyrighted music right after saying that all our music. But okay, so let's play a really quick edition of Royce Says the Darndest Things. I know it's been like 2 months. Actually, it's been like 1 month, and Royce is not in front of cameras. Like, he's going out of his way to get interviewed at this point, it feels like. So 2 things I want to bring up. Royce was on what is it called? Inside Twins. He was interviewed by Mark Janoski or whatever.
Yep.
And he was asked when asked how it felt to be one of the first people that Shelton reached out to. His quote was, it didn't feel like that the past couple of seasons. It feels like since the playoffs, things have been trending in a different direction, and nobody really knew what that direction was. And so it's been nice to be talked to and be in the loop a little bit more, same as a Buxton would be, some of the other leaders. So that's really cool. And this comes like, if you've listened to the interview, I listened to it like a couple hours ago to do this because I'd heard that Royce Lewis said something funny again. Like a minute or two before that, he was talking about how, like, oh man, I really miss Rocco. I think we've been really getting along lately. And then he comes out and says, I really haven't been kept in the loop the last few seasons. I haven't been treated like a leader. And it's really nice that somebody's finally recognizing me as a leader. Come on, Royce.
Royce. Man, he just says the darndest things sometimes. Like I had the same thought, Greg. I was listening to the segment live on the radio when it was out, and he was super complimentary of Rocco. He made it sound like you said. He said he's going to miss him. That Rocco's a great dude and he's a good manager and everything. And then he went and said that, and it's like, first of all, is he talking about Rocco? Is he talking to somebody else? I don't know. He just says the darndest things, man. That's the only way to put it.
Have you directed at Correa? Probably not.
It very well could. Like, I don't like to speculate.
Yeah,
I don't like to speculate. That it's also like it's such a funny thing that he did not have to put it that way. Love Royce. The other thing, and this is not necessarily like Royce says, because I don't believe this came up in the interview. However, it was very funny during Josh Bell's interview with the beat writers. It sounds like he had to quit golf because his the swing, right? And Royce Lewis, like two weeks ago, was in a celebrity golf tournament through FLB, and it's very clear that he. So it's like, hey man, and apparently he's working out with Josh Bell. It sounds like down in Texas. They've known each other for quite a while. Maybe Josh Bell will tell him it might be time to hang up the clubs. Maybe that could help.
We should be so lucky. We should be so lucky.
So that was our edition of Royce Says the Darnedest Things.
All right. That is a good segment for that. And actually, you know what, guys? For the edition of the closer tonight, we're going to do kind of a follow-up to that. And instead of Royce Says the Darndest Things, it's Gleeman Says the Darndest Things. Play the music, Greg.
Do we have music? Oh, let's go.
Let's hear what they have to say.
All right, let's hear what they have to say. Our good friend Aaron Gleeman of the Gleeman and the
friend
Geek.
of the pod.
Yeah, friend of the pod. From the Gleeman and the Geek podcast that we all listen to. If you're a Twins fan, you got to be listening to Gleeman and the Geek. They're the best in the business for sure. They have a excellent Patreon, and on their most recent episode where they did an emergency podcast after the signing of Victor Caratini, Gleeman went into one of his trademark terrible analogies, which I love when he does this. I love when he throws out these, like, on a whim, kind of these analogies that he has going through his head. And sometimes they kind of fit the topic and oftentimes they don't. So I'm going to play just a small segment. Hopefully everybody can hear. This is what Gleeman had to say about the Twins allocating their resources to another catcher instead of maybe a pitcher. Here we go.
So then causes you to view every move as if it's taking away from something else. It's like every
Here we go.
bowl of soup you eat is taking away a bowl of soup from a hungry person. And so as you're eating that bowl of soup, you're thinking, this tastes pretty good, but also I do feel kind of weird that the guy next to me can't eat soup. And that's unfortunately when you slash the soup budget.
I don't know, guys. I'm going to be honest. That was a mid-level terrible analogy from Aaron Gleeman. He's had some absolute doozies over the years, but this caught my attention, and I think that this is going to be a recurring segment on our show because, like I said, AG throws a lot of these out, does a great job, excellent Twins coverage, really fun topics that he talks about, very personable, but these terrible analogies are part of his trademark too. What do you guys think about it?
I'm sure Cody totally relates. I think that Cody prefers a world where every bowl of soup is being taken from somebody else, and so it's important to remember that every time that you eat, that means that that's somebody else in the community who doesn't get to eat. But I love the world that Aaron invented for that moment, just like finite soup.
Yeah.
That's the defining feature of this imaginary world, is that there's not infinite soup. It's finite. And when we run out of soup, we're just done. No chicken noodle, no tomato, no gazpacho. Like, incredible.
It reminds me of that one charlatan woman who was on Joe Rogan from North Korea, who was like, in North Korea, they take away your soup, and the man next to you doesn't get soup. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
No, but it sounds exactly what Gleeman just said. So
Yeah.
very applicable.
I made that up, but
Oh man. All right. Well, you know what they say. Gleeman says the darndest things. AG, thanks for being a friend of the pod. Your check is in the mail. Your royalties from being featured on this show. Everybody, please go like and subscribe to Gleeman the Geek Patreon podcast. All right, guys. Well, let's talk about our walk-off question before we sign off for the night here. Who is the least likely person to wind up at this weekend's Twins Fest festivities? I'll start. Like you said earlier, Cody, Joe Ryan, he ain't going to be there. Full disclosure, he had a kid recently. I think that he and his significant other had a baby. I want to say
Is Joe Ryan mad at the Twins?
Late November, early
Is
December.
Joe Ryan forcing his way out?
Maybe. These are the thoughts that are going through people's head. But anyway, he announced he's not going to be there. Guess he just didn't feel like it. We'll give him a pass because of the baby thing, though. Anybody else come out as unlikely to be at Twins Fest in your eyes, guys?
Shout out to people who don't go places because they just don't want to. My uncle actually did that at my wedding, which is very funny. Somebody's like, where's your uncle? He's like, I just didn't want to be here.
No.
I've got to say, I'm thinking Brent Rooker won't be there. Neither will David Ortiz or Lamont Wade. Akil Baddoo isn't going to be there. Ryan Fitzgerald isn't going to be there, nor is Carson McCusker. Should the Twins bring Miguel Sano to Twins Fest? Many people are asking. Who else? Carlos Gomez is not going to be there.
JJ Hardy,
Johan
for that matter.
Santana, Zach Littell, Jalen Davis.
Wait. Zach Littell is a free agent still. He might be at Twins Fest, but if they can ink him.
Reliever Zach Littell.
This is not the front office, man. They let him go for nothing. Wasker Inwa. Who's the other guy? Oh, Luis Heel. He's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Jeff Brigham.
Matt Bowman.
Jeff Hoffman.
Hoffman.
Kenyer Cano.
Kenny Santana. They let go of Santana and Hoffman.
Kevin Jepsen.
Kevin Jepsen.
Tyler Austin.
Chris Paddock. Because he doesn't like the facilities.
Trevor Larnach? ?
Trevor Larnach.
Speaking of people who don't like the facilities, Kyle Loesch will probably not be coming back.
Matt Garza.
Oh, yeah.
Delman Young.
Dimitri Young.
Trevor Plouffe.
Quinton Young.
No, hopefully he's there. That'd be fun.
I don't think he is.
All right. I'm ending this.
Adam Brett Walker.
Who's the guy? Chuck Knobloch won't be there.
He will not be there.
I am out on Chuck Knobloch. All right, that is it.
Pete Hegseth.
Okay, now we're really good.
Aaron Rupar.
He'll be at Forest Lake Fest. Sorry.
We're just naming people. Walter Mondale. Shoot. You know who's not going to be there? Ol Gregg.
Gregg.
Fellas. Not going to make it.
Aw.
I know.
That's sad. Amy Klobuchar.
All right, I'm about to mute Cody. All right, so a lot of people are not going to be at Twins Fest, but we hope to see a lot of you at the Twins Daily Winter Meltdown, which also takes place this Saturday. If you don't have tickets now, you might not have a chance. I'm not sure if there's any left, but
Genghis Khan.
You could also you could check or make friends with a Twins Daily. Make friends with I'm muting both of you here. Thank you all for listening. It's been a very fun.
President G, come to
play the music.
Who's gonna play the music? I'm still here.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening in.
Martin Scorsese.
I am out on Martin Scorsese.